Hello team, my name is Major Courtney Zimmerman, Bronco 6-2, and welcome to the Operations Group TAC Talks. Today we will be going over how to run an efficient and effective protection working group at the brigade level and can easily be tailored and replicated to a division and higher protection working group. If you truly want to operationalize the protection working group within your organization, this video is truly for you. Protection working group is one of the elusive working groups that many do not understand, know the importance, know how to conduct a protection working group, nor know how to properly integrate and feed into other working groups. We're going to answer some of these questions by following doctrine and giving examples of fighting products that may work within your organization. Let's deep dive and explore this process. Let us define a few concepts. The foundation of running a protection working group. What is protection? Let us first define protection by Joint Publications 3-0. To preserve the effectiveness and survivability of mission-related military and non-military personnel, equipment, facilities, information, and infrastructure deployed or located within or outside the boundaries of a given operational area. Protection warfighting function, defined by FM 3-0, is the related tasks, systems, and methods that prevent or mitigate detection, threat effects, and hazards to preserve combat power and enable freedom of action. While protection working group is to integrate and synchronize protection tasks and systems for each phase of the operation or major activity. The protection working group differs at each echelon, with greater emphasis on tasks and integration with maneuver at lower echelons, and greater emphasis on synchronizing and reorganizing resources at higher echelons. This is an example to help the protection working group team provide structure and organization to their meeting. The protection working group recommends assets to apply active and passive defensive measures in order to safeguard the force, preserve combat power, sustain freedom of action, and mitigate effects of threats and hazards while minimizing units' vulnerabilities. So what is the purpose of protection working group? Well, regardless of echelon, the protection working group has the same purpose. Here are some purposes of conducting a protection working group. Let's look at the personnel who are typically in the protection working group, starting at the top. The Chief of Protection may be designated by the military tables of organization and equipment, or be assigned by the unit commander. The protection chief needs to maintain a list of prioritized threats, adverse conditions, and hazard causes. Additionally, the chief has these responsibilities. To better manage the meeting and ensuring the protection chief is able to synchronize, the protection chief can designate an assistant to run slides, manage the flow of the meeting, note-taking, and follow up on do-outs. This is highly recommended. Here are some potential protection working group cell members. If we understand the purpose, and it may vary depending on the operational environment and mission, in order to integrate and synchronize all warfighting functions, ensuring proper analysis, coordination, and informed recommendations to the commander. It is imperative to synchronize protection with future operations and current operations in a large-scale combat operations, multi-domain operations environment. Therefore, these additional members will be needed. S2, S3, Fires, Space, BB or BSB LNO, and if assigned, the Department of Army Civilian Safety Representative. How often should a protection working group meet? It should start at MDMP and during each phase of the operation. During operations, the protection work group should meet daily and be incorporated and deconflicted within the unit's battle rhythm. The battle rhythm should support a minimum future operations planning cycles to ensure recommended changes to protection enablers, tasks, and priorities. The meeting should never last more than an hour. The location can vary depending on the unit, but at plans, rear command posts, or mission support site are all viable and proven successful options. The best method in conducting a protection working group is face-to-face. Another good method is through the Digital Mission Command Internet System, or MCIS. That is part of the unit's PACE plan. That allows dialogue and discussion. Dialogue and discussion are critical in ensuring proper analysis and creating an informed recommendation. The Joint Battle Command Platform or similar platform may not be conducive or a viable option. When running an effective protection working group, Clear inputs and outputs must be identified in the beginning with clear sequential agenda, outlining expectations during the working group. The protection chief must emphasize the meeting is not a brief and be gone. The intent is the synchronized contribution from units and multiple staff sections through their fighting products to include their running estimates and their common operating picture or COP. It is meant to be a discussion and dialogue, an opportunity for staff members or the protection chief to ask or clarify any information. Let me show you all an effective way to conduct a protection work group in a large-scale combat operation, multi-domain operation. Even if the unit is exercising the protection work group on an analog map, the following is still applicable. If using a digital platform through the unit's MCIS or according to their PACE plan, minimizing the quantity of slides is critical in reducing the electromagnetic signature or footprint. A way to help manage the flow and the COP everyone can brief from will help reduce the redundancy, confusion, slide management if applicable, or missing information from protection cell members. Let's follow the agenda and show example fighting products that can be used within your organization. After the assistant completes the roll call, no later than 5 minutes prior to the meeting, the protection chief or members of the command group opens up with any opening comments. The assistant states the key do-outs from the previous protection working group. It is important to start with the S2.
My name is Major Eric Whipple. The S2 reps provide an intelligence summary of the enemy. New threats and hazards are identified and anticipated based on newly assessed threat capabilities or changes to the operational environment, as compared with known friendly vulnerabilities and weaknesses. When possible, those threats are associated with the likelihood and severity of impacting assets and locations of the critical asset list and/or based on the refined priority list. What is the enemy's high payoff target list on your unit? Why is the enemy targeting those assets or locations? Protection SIGACs are identified and presented and again discussed in relation to impacts on the CAL. Storyboard pertaining to the brigade's operation that is applicable to the protection warfighting function. The storyboard should be briefed by the protection cell member that created the storyboard. Why are SIGACs and storyboards important to present in the protection working group? Other cell members need to be aware of the situation and may have inferred tasks associated. More importantly, in order to mitigate risks, identify enemy patterns, tactics, techniques, and procedures, and assist in future planning.
Viewing only one slide for the current operation, next 24 and next 48 hours operation slide will create a comprehensive and integrated visual representation which is layered with unit and staff graphic control measures. If conducted over an analog map, overlays or physical graphic control measures will be required. Each staff section in the same order will be briefed on each of the 3 operational slides, creating expectation management. Addressing measures of effectiveness by applicable staff sections for the desired effect must be addressed either by personnel or equipment system failure, insufficient resource allocation at vulnerable points, variances from the anticipated threat combat power ratio, resulting in an increased risk, ineffective support efforts leading to a cumulative failure or more critical elements, faulty planning assumptions. This continuous assessment must be annotated or collected to help the commander monitor, forecast possible failure, or to identify a critical point of failure in the operation.
Hello, my name is Captain Paulsen. I will be discussing PPLs and the CAL and the DAL. Following the next 48-hour discussion, it is imperative to discuss the next 72-hour recommended PPL based on operational plans for the brigade. The Protection Prioritization List, or PPL, are organized through the proper alignment of critical assets. The commander's priorities and intent and the impacts on mission planning determine critical assets. A critical asset is a specific entity that is of such extraordinary importance that its incapacitation or destruction would have a very serious, debilitating effect on the ability of a nation to continue to function effectively. The PPL, in short, will be a list of all critical assets that require some type of protection for the operation to be successful. The various protection stakeholders would then assign units to help in the protection of those assets. Examples of brigade assets aligned to protect the critical assets could be military police support, CBRN support, an infantry company detailed to security, engineer assets to hardened positions, or MEB assets assigned from division to the rear area. For ADA specifically, we would take the PPL created through the Protection Working Group to create the Critical Asset List, or the CAL, which is all assets requesting ADA coverage. Then, using criticality, vulnerability, and threat, or the CVT method, we would then assign weights to each asset. The assets with the highest weights would be prioritized in the CAL. Air Defense would then assign ADA coverage going down the CAL, with highest priorities getting coverage first until there are no more ADA assets available to be assigned. This list then becomes the Defended Asset List, or the DAL. The DAL is all assets that have been assigned ADA coverage. It is important to remember that the PPL and the CAL and the DAL should be continuously updated and refined based on phases of the operation or the battle.
The last action of the Protection Working Group is the Risk Management Task. This is a collaborative risk matrix from all warfighting functions identifying risks or hazards during MDMP. Why is this important? This helps the commander see risk in time, space, and purpose by phase of operations, provides the XO, the science to the art of adjudication of risk, and finally provide risk in terms of risk to mission and or risk to force. The risk matrix will identify the risk associated to the commander's decision point or a trigger point that ties to a named area of interest, or NAI, to answer the Priority Information Requirement, or PIR, identified during MDMP. Every decision point needs to be annotated within the risk matrix. This may seem like a lot to go over in less than an hour. A well-rehearsed orchestrated by the Protection Working Group Chief, cell members being concise to the point, sidebar conversations minimized, while the Protection Work Group Chief is orchestrating the flow. An effective meeting will typically last 30 to 45 minutes. We address the Protection Work Group example structure, the importance, and how to conduct a Protection Working Group. The Protection Work Group Chief will then represent the entire warfighting function during the commander's update briefs, battle update briefs, the targeting working groups, ensuring the commander and staff is informed and to receive any further guidance from the commander. We hope you can walk away from this presentation with some tools, techniques, and a better understanding how to conduct a Protection Working Group here at the Operations Group NTC TAC Talks.